Hello everyone, it's Chelsea with Nourish for Life, and here I'm going to show you how to make a week's worth of vegetables with less than 15 minutes of effort. So one of the tricks that I use is using as many pre-chopped vegetables as I can. This is not necessary. You can still do this with less than 15 minutes of effort and have all your veggies. It could take up to 20 minutes depending on how quickly you chop. I chop veggies frequently, so it doesn't take me quite as long. Probably takes me 10 minutes of prep time, but you want to give yourself more time. I'd rather you go slow, take it easy, and be safe. But let me show you kind of how I get started. So today I'm going to start with broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and carrots. And so I have the cauliflower pre-chopped. I got a bag of halved Brussels sprouts, so I just quartered these. I like my Brussels sprouts to be a little bit softer. I like when the leaves get crispy. You could leave them halved if you want more effort and a little bit less cooked, less soft. My GI tract tends to do better with them cooked more thoroughly, so that's what I stick with. Also, one of the tricks you want to think about is you want to cook veggies that will all require about the same amount of time. And so, for instance, if you wanted to make bell peppers with this, or mushrooms, onions, those are going to cook faster. And so you either want to use them whole, like mushrooms, or chopped much bigger, or you can start the veggies that take the longest to cook, like carrots, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and then cook those partially, then add the other veggies that you like that cook much faster. I do that a lot with mushrooms, but for today we're going to keep it low histamine, easy, and with as few steps as possible. So we have these veggies pre-chopped. We have carrots, which I chopped, cauliflower I got pre-chopped, and I just broke those into bite-sized pieces. So you'll see I want them to, again, cook evenly. They may vary in size a bit. That's fine. The softer pieces will be cooked faster. It's okay. It all turns out pretty well once you have it all mixed together. Okay, and then so the last thing I'm going to show you is I have pre-chopped broccoli, so I'm just going to show you how I cut this down or break it down to make sure the sizes are uniform. And so this is all already washed, so I just take the broccoli pieces. This piece is a little bigger, so I'm going to cut the stem in half and then break it apart. Easy peasy. And so I'm just going to go through and repeat that process. Now, because a lot of these cruciferous vegetables, the broccoli, the cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, tend to be more gas forming, I find that I do much better with them, again, when they're cut smaller and cooked more thoroughly. If you prefer your veggies to be more al dente, a little less done, you can absolutely, just like I said, throw these on the pan. So you can see a piece like that is fine. I have a 2-pound bag of broccoli here. I'm going to use about half of it, so about a pound of broccoli. That could be one large floret if you're using an unchopped version. Or if it's a smaller, you would want 2 medium to small sized broccolis. Okay. Looks good to me. So we just want to kind of even it out. We're going to mix the veggies. We're going to mix them again once we season them. So I have carrots here. I pre-chopped these. So I would use about 4 big carrots. If they're smaller like mine that I had, I used 6 because they were pretty small. So, and I like this. One of the important things that you want to keep in mind when you're looking at your fruits and vegetables is that the antioxidants that you get from the fruits and vegetables, a lot of the nutrients are dependent on the pigmentation or the color. And so when I am choosing which veggies I want to use, I like to include some different colors. So I include the orange from the carrots, which carries more beta carotene or vitamin A, which is a great antioxidant that's going to be used inside our cells. And then we have cauliflower here. So cauliflower is going to be one of those cruciferous vegetables. It carries indole 3-carbinol, just like broccoli and Brussels sprouts, other cruciferous, which helps with estrogen regulation in women. And then the cauliflower also comes with a lot of vitamin C, and so that's a great thing, and some choline. The broccoli is going to carry some vitamin K, some calcium, great calcium source, some vitamin A, some zinc. Not as much, you'll get more zinc from things like beans and nuts and seeds, but still some. And so I like to carry the variety in. The darker the pigmentation of the fruits and vegetables, typically the more concentrated the antioxidants are, which is why when you think of nutrient-dense foods, it's a lot of leafy greens, those dark green colors like kale. If you're looking at blueberries or pomegranates, cherries, that deep color carries a lot of antioxidants with it. As does, we have this rich orange color from the carrots. And so all of that is carried in the pigmentation. So make sure that you get colors in with your veggies. You know, you could use summer squash, zucchini, and mushrooms if you wanted to do an easier digest option. And all of those are going to cook around the same time. And so that can be helpful too. Okay, so we have our cauliflower. I just did 1 head of cauliflower, about medium sized. So here we have almost are the veggies, oh, excuse me, and then 1 pound of Brussels sprouts. And so we're gonna throw these in as well. And again, these are quartered. It looks very full now, but we'll be able to mix it, and keep in mind that these will cook down. Okay. So now we've got all of our veggies. I'm gonna move these out of the way. And now we're going to season. And so to season the veggies, first I'm gonna spray with some avocado oil spray. I like the avocado oil because it has a good fat profile for heart health, and it has a high smoke point. So it can be heated to between 450 to 500 degrees, 520 for some. And that means that it can be heated to that temperature without disintegrating. Whereas if you use something like olive oil and then cook it in an oven that's around 375, 400 degrees, that beautiful oil that you paid so much for will fall apart and become an unhealthy oil in the oven because you've heated it past its smoke point. So avocado oil will stay intact. Those hydrogens are going to stay bonded. And so okay, so I have my avocado oil. I have some dehydrated garlic here. Okay. So I really like garlic, so I put about a tablespoon on each. It's up to you how much you like, or you can always omit it entirely. Okay, so another thing I'm gonna add, I have some fresh parsley here in the kitchen today, so I'm gonna use that to help season my veggies. One of the things that I like about, well, any herbs are gonna be very nutrient dense, like those leafy greens, because it carries such dark flavor. So you'll get some calcium, vitamin K, vitamin C, although we'll cook some of it out, and vitamin A. So these are gonna be really great for you, very concentrated in antioxidants. And parsley also contains a compound that helps to stabilize our mast cells. And so if you have mast cell activation syndrome or a histamine intolerance, using fresh parsley can be a great way to help make sure that you're balancing your meals well and doing what you can to tolerate them well, especially if you're going to eat a high histamine food. Okay, so now we have these seasoned and ready to go in the oven. We're just going to mix them, make sure that they're evenly coated. All right, and then I'm going to add some salt just for a finishing touch. Now that the oil has been spread around the veggies, so this will stick a little better. And now I have POTS, or postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, so I have to be on a high sodium diet, so I am very generous with the salt here. Before I developed POTS, I cooked my veggies without any salt. Use your preference. If you are looking for a heart-healthy option, then use less salt or use none at all, depending on what you prefer. And if you have POTS, then load up all the salt you want. This is a great way to sneak it in. All right, so now we have our veggies all ready on these beautiful trays. I'm going to stick them in the oven at 375, and we're going to check on them in about 10 minutes to stir, and then we'll continue them cooking until they're all done, and then I'll show you how to store them. All right, I'm back. It's been about 10 minutes. I'm going to pull the veggies out of the oven so we can check on them and we can see how done they are. We'll pull them out, stir them, and then put the cookie sheets back in the oven for another 15-20 minutes until the veggies are as done as you like. Usually about 15 minutes does it for me, but let's check on them and see how they look. All right, so here they are so far. So you can see, I don't know if you can see the steam coming off of them. So they're really starting to heat well, getting some browning going on. So I am just gonna stir these. Make sure that they cook evenly. All right, you just want to kind of make sure that they lay flat and that they're spaced out well. Okay, so these are off to a good start. I'm going to grab the other cookie sheet. Okay, this one looks about the same as it should. Smells great. I can smell that fresh parsley on these. All right, so now I'm going to put these back in the oven for another 20 minutes and we'll see how they look then. They should be all done and ready to cool off and to get ready to store. I'll check back with you then. All right, so now the veggies have been cooking in the oven at 375 for another 20 minutes. I just pulled them out. So you can see they have a nice roast on them. They're not overly done, still have a good bite. And so now that these are all done, to store them, I let them cool a bit. I'll let them cool for about 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes. If you're following a low histamine diet, you don't have to do that necessarily. What I'm gonna do is put these on a cooled baking sheet and then put them right in the freezer on a sheet. So I want them to be laying flat when I freeze them. And so what that's gonna do is that once they're all frozen, I can put them in a bigger storage container, put them in a Ziploc bag in the freezer, and they won't all stick together. Right now, because there's still steam coming off, if you freeze them directly in a container, then they will all stick together when the water freezes. So you want to lay these flat and stick them in the freezer. Like I said, I'm going to put these on a cookie sheet that has not been in the oven, let them cool, completely frozen, and then transfer them to a Ziploc bag or a freezer container that will fill them. Then the great thing is you have all of these veggies pre-made, put in the freezer. You can pull out a handful at a time for different things. You could use them to make scrambled eggs, a frittata. You can use them as a side. You could use them for a harvest bowl with quinoa or brown rice. So there's a lot of things you can do with these veggies apart from just eating them, but they do make a really great way to have something healthy. Doesn't take a lot of effort to prep, and it's going to keep you having something good to add to your meals. So whether you're making pasta later in the week, or like I said, a frittata, a harvest bowl, these will be great additions that you don't have to cook or worry about. They're all ready to go. So it makes the rest of the prep a lot easier and gives you a store. So even if it's not this week or next week, a month from now, you still have these veggies ready to grab whenever you need them. I hope this is helpful for you, and I hope you enjoy these as much as I do. Thanks for watching.